Okay, so I am back from my trip to Summer Game Fest. I got to witness the announcement of the release date for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 live, and right after I took a quick trip to Disney, got myself some Spider-Man goggles, and I'm just ready to get back into covering this game because there's so much to talk about. The most important thing, though, that we want to talk about here in today's video is, well, who is Venom? Because when we saw that concept art on stage at Summer Game Fest, it was asked by Jeff Keighley, is Eddie Brock going to be Venom in this game? And Brian Intar just said no. Couple that, of course, with the concept art featuring both Peter and Miles facing off against Venom, and that theory about Peter being Venom has been completely shut down now. So people have been asking, who's Venom going to be in this game? And we're going to go over all the suspects. We're going to break it all down here in today's video. But before we jump into this, if that collector's edition's got you hyped, if just that design for Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2 gets you excited, if you cannot wait to see that boss battle, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, share the hype with me. We're going for another 5,000 likes for this one. And with that being said, let's jump into this now. There's a lot to go over. I'm going to jump right into one of our first unusual suspects for Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and that is Mac Gargan. Now, you might recognize that name as Scorpion, and Scorpion was one of the members of the Sinister Six in Marvel Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, and then, well, the remastered version for the PS5. And honestly, the main reason why people even bring up this potential theory is simply because the Mac Gargan Venom design in the comics has the symbol on the chest that's similar to the symbol that Venom has in this game. But outside of that, I honestly don't see this happening. I don't think there's enough of an emotional draw there. I don't think that it's woven into the story well enough, aside from maybe J. Jonah Jameson playing a bigger role in Marvel Spider-Man 2 and then maybe wanting to bring that storyline together with Scorpion and J. Jonah, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't see this happening. Plus, Scorpion's in the raft, so, I mean, is he going to break out? How is he even going to get the symbiote? What's going to happen there? It just doesn't work narratively. Another suspect, even though it was confirmed that he's not going to be Venom in this game, is Eddie Brock. People think that Insomniac is trying to pull a Rocksteady here with the Arkham Knight scenario back when Batman Arkham Knight was coming out. And I get it. We were all burned pretty bad back then. Everyone was hearing that Arkham Knight's going to be this original character. He's not going to be based on anyone we've seen previously. We all guessed it was going to be Jason Todd, and that's exactly who it was. So I feel you. You're all sitting there like, okay, they told us that Eddie Brock wasn't going to be Venom in this game, but what if he probably is going to be Venom anyways, and they just want to throw us off? I feel like in that case, they just wouldn't even bother answering the question. They would talk to Jeff Keighley and say, hey, don't even ask us this question when the time comes for us to have our segment during Summer Game Fest. Instead, Insomniac, PlayStation, Brian Intar in this scenario agreed to let Jeff Keighley ask that question to announce officially that Eddie Brock is not going to be Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And in this case, I am keen to believe him. We'll see what happens. I would like to see Eddie Brock be a part of the game in any way, shape, or form, just to have that fan favorite character there, but I'm not going to lose too much sleep if he doesn't end up being Venom. So long as whatever they do with Venom and whoever ends up being that character within this game, it's compelling enough, then I'll be happy. But I understand that there's some people out there that are comic purists that want to see that storyline told in its original form, and I get that you might be upset that that's not going to happen here, but we're on a little bit of copium still thinking that it's going to be Eddie Brock as Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2, so let's just move on from that. The next theory is Mary Jane Watson as Venom. No, seriously, there were some people who were theorizing this. Don't kill the messenger. Okay, I don't know where they came from. I don't know who started it, and I don't know if they were trolling, but it's out there. Okay, it's in the wild. But let's get serious now. The next three suspects, I think, narrow it down. I think these are the ones that are very likely. One of these three will be Venom in this game. And one of those three choices is, first of all, Kraven the Hunter, the actual other main antagonist in Marvel Spider-Man 2 that we know about. And this is certainly an interesting idea. I mean, in the comics, Kraven has become Venom before, so it's not something that's out of the realm of possibility, and it certainly isn't something that Insomniac will just be making up out of thin air. And there could be something there with Kraven being this huge threat on New York City and on both the Spider-Man, and then inevitably becoming this unstoppable force when he gets a hold of the symbiote. It could allow for Kraven to just be the main headliner, the guy who you have to take down through the entirety of the game, instead of it potentially being, it's Kraven and then you deal with him and then it's on to the main event being Venom. The only drawback here is that if we go all the way back to 2021 when the reveal trailer dropped, it was Kraven who was asking for a challenge and then Venom who was answering it. So narratively speaking, it's a little weird. Kraven's like, hey, is there anybody out there who can face me? And then Venom, who would potentially be Kraven under this theory, is the one who answers. I know that any of the dialogue or any of the story beats that take place in that reveal trailer shouldn't be any indication of what we could expect out of the actual story in Marvel Spider-Man 2, but it's all we have to go off of right now outside of the gameplay demo, so I'm gonna run with that. Plus, for me personally, I just want Kraven to be Kraven in this game, okay? No symbiote, nothing that enhances his strength. I want him to already be a serious threat for both the Spider-Man as is. And then next up, we have a character that's fairly newly introduced, a character that hasn't been around in the comics for that long, but is a character that a lot of people found interest in, and that is Lee Price. And I'm sure for some of you guys out there that aren't following the comics, this is a character that might sound a little unfamiliar to you. He was only introduced just 7 years ago, back in 2016. And a lot of people are running with this theory as well, because similar to Matt Gargan, his Venom design shares a resemblance in the logo on the chest to the Venom design in Spider-Man 2. I'll mention this much though, the origin for Lee Price becoming Venom in the comic book starts with him working for Black Cat. He's one of her henchmen. He's kind of forced into all this by none other than Matt Gargan, Scorpion himself, and after an arms deal goes wrong between Black Cat's men and then Tombstone's men, the symbiote protects Lee Price and then he becomes Venom. And I'm only talking about, you know, Tombstone, Black Cat, all this stuff because, well, if you remember that tablet when Kraven was looking at that after he subscribed to the channel and turned on the notifications, you know, it showed that Black Cat and Tombstone were amongst the characters that he might be hunting in this game. So who knows? They could set up the actual origin story of Lee Price's Venom within Marvel Spider-Man 2 by having him indeed be one of Black Cat's henchmen, and then an arms deal goes wrong between Black Cat's men and Tombstone's men, and then the symbiote is on Lee Price. The question then becomes, you know, how does the symbiote get there and all that stuff? We'll have to see if they're going to do that even, or what Insomniac plans to do. I'm sure they're going to write the story a lot better than the theories out there. But also for me, I think that there just isn't enough of an emotional draw between the character of Lee Price and then Peter Parker Spider-Man, or even Miles Morales Spider-Man. I just think Venom as a villain works the best when the persona without the symbiote hates the persona of the character he's against without the suit. You know, case in point, Eddie Brock is so effective as Venom because he has that rivalry with Peter Parker, and then that transitions into a rivalry between Venom and Spider-Man. And then the question then becomes, you know, what they want to do with Venom's motivation. Is he really trying to go after both these Spider-Men? Does he want to kill them? Or is it just that these Spider-Men are in his way, and so he's just going to kill them to get them out of his way? The last thing, though, that I will point out, as I said, Lee Price was only introduced 7 years ago. And if we go back to 2018 when Marvel Spider-Man first came out, they had Miles play a huge role in that game, and he at the time was only introduced 7 years up until that point. What I'm trying to say here is that Insomniac isn't strictly paying attention to the classics when it comes to comic runs that they want to adapt in their games. They're also doing their own original ideas, and then as well pulling from stuff that's a little more recent. Case in point, bringing Miles into this and then having him be Spider-Man alongside Peter. But moving on now to the final suspect, and probably the prime suspect here of people that could be Venom in this game. You guys all guessed it, Harry Osborn. This really doesn't need much of an explanation, but for old time's sake, let's do this again one last time. Norman Osborn was shown in possession of the symbiote, having it wrapped around Harry to help prevent Harry from dying of some deadly disease. In Spider-Man Miles Morales, Norman ordered Curt Connors to let Harry out of his tank, and we witness it all from Harry's first-person perspective, insinuating that he's actually awake and could be bonding with the symbiote. So of course, all of this could lead to the symbiote taking control of Harry Osborn, and we don't know when exactly Peter gets the symbiote, but we assume that the emotional draw here will be that Peter sheds that symbiote, Harry then becomes Venom, and Peter knows the negative effects of the symbiote and tries to remove it off of Harry. The conflict then becomes that Harry thinks that Peter just wants him to die by removing the symbiote. And of course, there's a lot of emotions that could be in play here, having us face off against Peter's best friend if Harry Osborn is indeed Venom. I don't know, that is just my theory, a game theory if you will, but there's also potentially some additional information to support this theory, and that actually comes specifically from the concept art that was revealed at Summer Game Fest showing off Venom fighting against our Spider-Man. You see, off to the left in the concept art, there is a billboard for a foundation known as the Emily May Foundation. May pertaining, of course, to May Parker, but Emily, for some who might not know, is actually the name of Harry Osborn's mom. And now it could mean nothing, but at the same time, I feel like that was such a deliberate placement within that concept art. They know what they're doing when they put something like that in there. It just gets us all guessing, it has us all looking into it, and I feel that it adds towards the evidence that Harry Osborn is going to be Venom in this game. And I mean, if this is the case, it just packs an even greater emotional punch. There was a foundation built to potentially help those in need with the names of Peter's guardian, you know, his essential mother in Aunt May, and then Harry Osborn's mom in Emily Osborn. Having all that tie into the friendship between Peter and Harry, and you know, Harry having that disease, not wanting to lose the symbiote because he could die, and there's some compelling stuff here. Plus, at the end of the day, Brian Antahar on stage at Summer Game Fest, when he denied that Eddie Brock was going to be Venom in this game, said that Insomniac likes to do their own thing. They want to have their own original take here, but also will make sure that they're true to the character. And as the age-old saying goes, in Insomniac, we trust. But hey, one last quick theory, although I don't think this is going to happen, and I kind of don't want it to. A lot of people out there are wondering if maybe Norman Osborn will be Venom. And this all comes from that same post-credit scene with Harry Osborn wrapped up in that symbiote. But a lot of people are noticing that at the end of that post-credit scene, the symbiote jumps out at Norman. So could it be that the symbiote actually wants to bond with Norman? I don't know, but I mainly don't want this to happen because I hope that they're setting up Green Goblin for the third game, but then again, maybe Harry could end up being Green Goblin for the third game. And with that being said, now I want to kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section below. Who do you think Venom is going to be in this game? And also, what do you think about Venom's design? Because man, I'm a big fan. I love it, and I cannot wait for that collector's edition. I hope I can get my hands on it. Sound off with all your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.